we're back, and it's getting good. We're continuing along here on Florida Football Insiders. I'm TJ Reeves. He is Todd Gracely. We're ready to preview another week. We've begun to understand some things in both college and the NFL. Are you excited for another week?
Absolutely. Can you believe it, TJ? The combined teams in the NFL, 6-0 for Florida teams, USF 3-0, UCF 2-0, Gators and Seminoles struggling. We'll see if they can bounce back here in week 4.
Yeah, there are some teams that are doing well, as you mentioned, and some other teams that are not doing so well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule, and we actually have a Friday night game heading into the weekend, national television for UCF against Florida Atlantic. So a lot of the country will see that matchup. Then on Saturday, 3 of the games in the afternoon, USF playing host to East Carolina, Florida State the same back at Doak Campbell Stadium with Northern Illinois off of that awful performance in Syracuse. Then you've got Miami and Florida International also in the afternoon. Of course, FIU would love nothing better than to maybe pull an upset. And also on the schedule Saturday night, Florida and Tennessee. We are anxious for this slate, and so in most of the cases there, the Florida team is the home team. The teams that we're looking at, they're all back home.
For teams like FSU, they need that another week after that disappointing loss in the Carrier Dome at Syracuse. And for the Gators, they travel to Tennessee.
Yeah, how about this, that from 1990 to 2007, when this guy was in preschool and I was working still in the media, that's how much older I am than him, 1990 to 2007, both Florida and Tennessee were ranked when they played the game. This is the third time in 5 years that neither one of them are ranked. So those programs have kind of fallen, and I know you're going to preview that a little bit more.
Mother Nature derailed the hopes of UCF heading to North Carolina to play the Tar Heels last weekend. But Mackenzie Milton and Josh Heupel, they say that's okay, as they get in a couple of extra days to prepare for Lane Kiffin and the FAU Owls, who come to Bright House Network Stadium in a Friday night showdown. And for the Owls, Devin Singletary is their leading rusher, the leading rusher in the NCAA a year ago with 32 rushing scores and 7 touchdowns already in 2018. How will that UCF defensive line provide pressure and attack that run game of FAU? That'll be the key to the game. All the talk about the UCF offense, but how will the defense stop Singletary Friday night? Florida State had a players-only meeting earlier in the week. They are 1-2. Some may say that's an abysmal start. Already fans calling for Willie Taggart to put him on the hot seat, but don't panic. This week they have Northern Illinois, a team they faced in the Orange Bowl back in 2013. Their loss to Syracuse, the first time they lost to the Orange since 1966. A depleted offensive line, the FSU Seminoles will have to get the ball rolling, literally and figuratively. The lone Florida team on the road this week, the Florida Gators, travel to Knoxville, Tennessee. And as you may remember, Felipe Franks, a 63-yard Hail Mary pass. Don't tell Volunteer fans they've lost 12 of 13 to the Gators. Heck, don't even tell Jeremy Pruitt or Dan Mullen. They've forgotten about that. Last year was a different game. New players, a new team, and a new game Saturday night.
All right, Todd, USF Bulls back home with East Carolina. The Bulls a win over Lovie Smith and Illinois, with Blake Barnett throwing the game-winning touchdown pass in the final couple of minutes in the game on a 50-yard bomb to keep the Bulls undefeated. They'll come back home and play an East Carolina team whose game was washed away by Hurricane Florence. They were unable to play with Virginia Tech last week, so they've had an unexpected bye week. They now come for the tough task of playing at Raymond James Stadium, and USF trying to get to 4-0 for the second consecutive year under Charlie Strong and open up American Conference play with a win at home. Well, for the Miami Hurricanes, it's been easy the last couple of weeks. They had no trouble whatsoever in Toledo last week. They're still going to have probably an easy time with FIU. Florida International with Butch Davis, the former Miami coach, has some decent players on offense, but nowhere near the size and the strength that Miami has for the game at Hard Rock Stadium. Mark Richt's team should roll. Malik Rozier has played pretty well in the last couple of games after the tough night against LSU on the opening weekend, Labor Day weekend. Miami should be able to roll in this game on Saturday afternoon, but FIU obviously wants to try to screw it up for them. You got a lot of players that know each other on both of these rosters. We'll see how it goes for the Canes. Okay, so that Gator-Tennessee Tennessee game on Saturday night. We'll have everybody interested. Let's move on to the NFL schedule. Take a look at the slate of games. 2 of them on Sunday, 1 of them Monday night. The early games, it'll be the Miami Dolphins at 2-0 against the 0-2 Oakland Raiders. John Gruden winless at this point, and they got to come all the way east to play in Miami, Todd. And then also the Jacksonville Jaguars, who lost both matchups to the Titans last year. Even though they won the division, they lost both games to Tennessee. They're playing at 1 o'clock in Jacksonville. And then Monday Night Football, Buccaneers and Pittsburgh Steelers with the Bucs at 2-0. Very interesting slate this weekend of these 3 games, and in all 3 cases, the Florida team again is the home team.
Absolutely, and they're all undefeated. And if you asked a lot of people, do you think they'd be 6-0 combined? The Bucs after a not great season last year, the Jaguars, who went to the playoffs, and the Dolphins who were stuttering last year. I don't know how many people would be on that ship with you.
Well, but give credit where it's due, because in the cases of Dirk Cutter, Adam Gase, Doug Marrone, they've come out at the start of the season, and they're playing well.
They are partying up in Duval as the Jaguars upended the Patriots 31-20, avenging that AFC playoff loss from a year ago. This week, they will have the Titans, and Blake Bortles has a hot hand in a battle of 2 of the top quarterbacks in the country. Tom Brady, maybe the greatest of all time, it was Blake Bortles who outshined him with 4 touchdowns. And this week, he will go up against the Tennessee Titans. And when you talk about quarterbacks, there's a little bit of an issue there, as Marcus Mariota, questionable, has some tingling in his fingers and on his throwing hand. Will Blaine Gabbert be the guy on Sunday for the Titans? That remains to be seen. Derrick Henry in the backfield, and it'll be a big day for the Jaguars defense. Miles Jack and company had a great game against the Patriots. We'll see how they stack up on Sunday. The last time the Dolphins started out 2-0 was 2013. Big wins over the Titans and the Jets in week 1 and 2. Ryan Tannehill threw for 2 touchdowns last week. Kenyon Drake, a rushing touchdown as well. Kiko Alonso with a big game at linebacker, 13 tackles for the Finns. John Gruden comes back to Florida with the Raiders. And for the Raiders, they've been struggling on offense. Derek Carr has some weapons with Marshawn Lynch and Amari Cooper. Can he get those rolling on Sunday afternoon? We'll see.
And Todd, on Monday night, the Buccaneers hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tony Dungy, the former Bucs coach, now in the Hall of Fame, will go in the Ring of Honor and Immortality at Raymond James Stadium. And on the field, you've got the Buccaneers 2-0. You've got the Steelers wounded at 0-1-1. Who had the Buccaneers in position to be 3-0 and in early command of the NFC South? That's what's riding on the line coming up on Monday night. Ryan Fitzpatrick, back-to-back NFC Offensive Player of the Week honors. Again, the accolades keep rolling in for the 35-year-old veteran. The Bucs have never had a back-to-back Player of the Week player in their 43-year history of the franchise. Will Fitzmagic continue? Will Big Ben and the Steelers' offense get rolling? I know Mahomes tore them up on defense last week, but Big Ben still put up a bunch of numbers and touchdowns last week. This game may be a shootout on Monday night, Buccaneers against the Steelers. It will be a jacked atmosphere at Raymond James Stadium. I can't wait to be part of the radio call coming up for that game on Monday night. Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh, the whole country will be watching. Buccaneers will try to be 3-0 for the first time since 2005. Todd Gracely back with me one more time. I'm TJ Reeves. Glad to have you with us here as part of Florida Football Insiders and previewing the weekend. All right, which game out of our slates, college and the NFL, intrigues you the most and why?
You know, TJ, I'm a UCF alum, and I want to see the Knights continue their win streak, the longest in the country. They're at 15 games right now. Can they get to 16 games? And, a little bragging rights against FAU as well.
Yeah, and that's an opportunity to see a lot of points scored probably on Friday night in Orlando. And again, for the Jaguars, a lot of people are pointing to this game because Tennessee was very physical with them in the 2 losses last year for Jacksonville. Let's see if they respond. I mean, in North Florida, they are going crazy. A 3-0 start. They haven't had this kind of start really in probably a decade or more. They were good last year, but this year they're expected to be good. We'll see if Jacksonville can continue on that. Are you ready for another fun weekend of Florida football?
Absolutely. I think it's going to be exciting. I think the Bucs air attack, 4 different receivers with touchdowns last week. You got Blake Bortles heating it up, throwing 4 touchdowns last week as well. Another exciting week. Can the NFL teams all get to 3-0 this week, TJ?
Yeah, that would be the talk of the NFL if they can all be there. And Florida and Tennessee, prime time in Knoxville, 105,000 fans. Will the Gators be 0-2 in the SEC if they don't win this game? That's going to be something else to watch. Did you have fun?
Absolutely. And just to touch on that SEC real quick, it's just the beginning of their schedules. Tennessee gets Alabama, they get Auburn, and they get Georgia in the next 3 weeks. So a big confidence booster there in Knoxville.
All right, well, let's see if they can get that. We'll see if Florida can get the win as well as the Gators get ready to get into the heart of the SEC schedule. We had fun bringing this to you. For Todd Gracely, I'm TJ Reeves. Thank you for being with us as we preview the weekend games. Enjoy them all.